Hello, dear listeners. I'm your not so devilish host, DJ Crush, and you're listening to WKNC 88.1 FM, HD1, Raleigh. This is The Witching Hour, a WKNC run podcast where we interview local and national musicians alike. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing the one, the only, the incomparable Fiona Moonchild.
Hello.
Woo!
How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Perfect. Glad to hear it. Could you give us a quick introduction for any unfortunate soul who does not know of you?
Well, my name's Fiona Moonchild. I'm a musician originating from Seattle, Washington, living in LA the past few years, and we sail boats, we ride bikes, we go on adventures, we sail the seas, we rock in the free world, you know?
Exactly. If I may ask, is Fiona Moonchild a stage name?
That is a stage name.
If so, what inspired it?
Came to me in a dream, and a particular sort of obsession with tides and the cycle of the moon and the reflection of the moon off of the ocean when you're out at sea late at night in a clear sky.
I love that. I feel like it immediately kind of conjures a very particular image, which I feel like you definitely embody in your work.
Well, that's good. Keep it consistent.
So, again, for any unfortunately uneducated listeners out there today, how would you elevator pitch your music?
Liminal space rock.
Ooh, perfect.
Acid dream rock.
And last question in our little introductory section. How long have you been making music? I know that Fiona Moonchild as an act is not actually your first one.
For sure. I think I've been a musician my whole life. And my original instrument was the clarinet in elementary school. And I used to try to write songs with a little auto harp that I had as a child. And try to force my parents and friends to perform things with me, but they would often get too embarrassed to do so. So I don't know. I think it's something that's always been in me.
I love to hear it, especially with other people getting embarrassed, whereas you have actually made
Fearless.
this
Yeah, I've never
Exactly.
had any issues getting on stage and getting in front of people. In fact, one of the very first times I tried to start a band as a teenager, I was trying to convince all my friends to play some sort of school dance or something and play Misfits covers. And I believe the way it went was it didn't happen because my friends' moms got together and were talking about me, and they wouldn't let their children associate with me because I was too punk and kind of a bad influence. But I think I was a good influence. I was just trying to play music.
I suggest that you wear that as a badge of honor
Yeah.
to be labeled as a bad influence at
Exactly.
such a young age. You know, some punk street cred. Now, as for the music itself, who would you label as some of your biggest influences, both musically and in general aesthetics?
I've always been a really big fan of St. Vincent's stage show and aesthetic sort of taste. I think musically, I've always been drawn to more weird stuff like avant jazz, and I grew up listening to a lot of Frank Zappa and guitar music like that, some prog adjacent things. But at the end of the day, I really just like to make people want to dance, and so I want to play some sort of like fast punky thing that has a groove to it,
I would definitely
but have some some stranger things in there. Yeah.
I feel like, again, that is such a well-curated aesthetic that I personally absolutely adore. So, speaking of all of that, let's go ahead and talk about your 2021 album, Sweets of Reason, which
Sure.
fun fact for any dear listeners out there, when we are recording this, this is actually the 3-year anniversary of its release on September 3rd.
Wow, you're right. I didn't even think about that. That's incredible.
I do my research. So, without getting into the actual music itself,
Sure.
let's talk about the title and the cover art.
The cover art was done by my friend Jason Gould, currently based in Connecticut. At the time, he was based in Florida. His art has a lot of sort of nautical themes to it, and sort of, I had this idea of wanting it to be sort of like beachside overlooking a burning sunset, and because I've always been drawn to the sea, but I was a little off the sea at the time, and then I got on the sea for a lot of the process of this album and the making of it. And the title, Sweets of Reason, is just sort of like a little allusion to knowledge gain and gained in growth. And
At risk of sounding like a broken record here, I feel like the album art really conveys a dark yet glamorous aesthetic, which I think is probably the two things that I love most in life.
That's beautiful, and that's very intentional.
Speaking of darkly glamorous, let's talk about your music video for the song Nervous Sister,
Sure.
which, for you dear listeners at home, is actually a coming up performance. So talk me through the creative process for that.
I made the video with a Seattle-based artist named Lauren Rodriguez, and we kind of had this idea of a sort of outer self chasing the inner self, and sort of chasing the ideas of identity and paranoia and self-doubt that kind of come with trying to self-actualize.
At risk of revealing a little bit too much about myself here, again, I love the dark and glamorous, so the second that I watched the Nervous Sister music video was the moment that I realized I definitely need to have these people on.
Hell yeah.
These seem like my type of people. So, I do have a question regarding the album, though.
Sure.
What would you say is the track that you are most proud of making on it?
I think my favorite track that kind of came out of it was the song Utopia. That riff and some key parts of it can kind of be traced back to a very long time ago, and definitely a past form of myself that was written with a friend of mine who had passed, and I felt very, very proud to finally be able to finish it and find like a completed form for it to be out into the world to kind of keep him alive in some sort of way.
That is very beautiful, especially with this, as you described it, new form. You know, combining the old and the new.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely adore. So let's briefly talk about Cruising Records.
Sure.
I'm actually not very familiar, as somebody who is both blessed and cursed to live on the East Coast. Please tell me a little bit about them and how that kind of collaboration came to be.
I've known Clyde Peterson from that record label for quite a few years, and we had always talked about doing something together with Cruisin', who is like a Seattle/New Orleans based queer record label, and they put out a lot of fantastic artists, including my guitar player on this tour, Scott Yoder, who is to my left.
Feel free to introduce yourself, Scott.
Hey, what's up, guys?
The incomparable Scott Yoder.
That's me.
So, again, at risk of overstepping, are there any future projects that we can look forward to?
Yeah, I think my second record is going to feature a lot more like orchestral orchestration and a clarinet, bass clarinet, and horns.
It is hard to put into words how excited I am for an
Cool.
orchestral
I am too.
instrumentation.
It's sort of nebulous in my brain right now, but it's forming.
Just know that I am eagerly looking forward to it.
Fantastic.
Now, as a brief little intermission, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very first song of the evening. This is Abstract Flight.
Make a choice. Leave behind all of your belongings you no longer need. The line to the past has become severed, has become untethered, has become untied. I will shine, burn so bright, reach out from inside to carry my body marvelous sight and through the door on abstract flight. I will find a way to leap across the vast void with compassion and love. I will shine, burn so bright, reach out from inside to carry my body marvelous sight and through the door of intense stalker, river, dreamer, sorcerer, shadow self, the night, the breath, your inventory of intent. I will shine, burn so bright, reach out from inside to carry my body marvelous sight and through the door on abstract flight.
If you are just now tuning back in, I am DJ Crush with Fiona Moonchild, and this is The Witching Hour. The song you just heard was Abstract Flight. So, quickly jumping back into our next questions, I want to talk a little bit about your performance style.
Okay.
I unfortunately have never had the opportunity to see you perform live, though that may change one day.
May change tonight at King's.
Well, you will be performing here at King's in Raleigh. Have you ever actually played in North Carolina before?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I have.
How do you think the performance atmosphere changes from East Coast to West Coast?
It always depends. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's really any strong corollary. I mean, you know, West Coast. Every show is a show, and every show is kind of in a vacuum, and you just play your hardest you can every night, no matter if you're playing to 2 people or 200. Like, you give it your all every night, and hopefully connect with someone.
Definitely makes sense. kind of in that same vein, are there any particularly notable for being either good or particularly bad performances that you've had in your career?
Notable on this tour was an interesting one where we were in the Midwest and the power went out at the venue. And so, you kind of take what you can, and we happen to have a little tiny scale acoustic guitar in the van. So I played a small set sitting on the bar under the light of the emergency lights and cell phone lights to the crowd that was there, paying cash only for drinks in the dark.
What is the essence of punk if not resourcefulness?
Put the punk in punctual,
Exactly. So how do you typically prepare for a performance? Do you have any good luck rituals or anything like that?
I mean, doing makeup, changing outfits. I think this being my first tour with this project, the outfits have been kind of simple and neutral and kind of letting it grow organically. But doing makeup always feels like a little. That's like you're getting ready and you're kind of getting into your stage persona a little bit. With Scott's band, which I play guitar for many tours, I think we have more elaborate stage wear and kind of have a little more of a ritual. But this, we're just trying to keep it punk, keep it scrappy, and, fly by the seat of our pants.
I suppose in that vein, if you theoretically had infinite funds, resources, time, what have you, what would your ideal stage wear be?
Wow. I mean, I've had custom suits made. I think there is a seamstress based out of LA named Amber Doyle, who I think I would like to have something made by them from. They do like a lot of bigger names like Shin and the Clams and stuff. They've done custom stage wear for them, like almost very like nudie suit-esque, like lots of ornate detail. I think would be cool. But yeah, I'd love to have my own sort of stage costume built if anyone's listening and wants to reach out.
So how would you generally describe the crowd at your shows?
Punks and freaks and everything in between. I mean, I think the people we most connect with are other queer and trans people for sure.
Absolutely. That is definitely the type of people that we like to attract here at
Absolutely.
WKNC. So we are kindred spirits in that regard. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and intro our next song, Beautiful Dreamer.
Manufactured images of streetlights and taxi cabs, warm nights and warm jets, all of your friends and then one less. Stu, you know you are a beautiful dude. You know you are a beautiful dreamer. Water and sun-kissed, tortoiseshell sunglasses, talk to demons and spirits, all of your friends and then one less. Dude, you know you are a beautiful dude. You know you are a beautiful dreamer. the pillar that keeps the city erect. You're the pillar that keeps the city erect. You're the pillar that keeps the city erect. You're the pillar that keeps the city erect. Do you know you are?
That last song was Beautiful Dreamer by our lovely guest Fiona Moonchild.
Hello.
Again, jumping right back into the questions. Let's talk about your journey. So, as you mentioned,
That can mean a lot of different things. So let's see where this goes.
your musical journey.
Okay.
Though, if you want to get into anything personal, that is up to you. So, you mentioned as a child you've always had a knack for performing.
Sure.
How do you think that kind of manifested for you?
How?
Yes.
I really couldn't tell you. I think it's just something people are drawn to doing, like making art. It can be sometimes an affliction, sometimes it can be like just a blessing. But you know, like I think it's just something people are compelled to do.
Absolutely. So, you started out in Seattle, am I correct?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you think the music scene in Seattle kind of differs from elsewhere you've been?
From my experience, it's always kind of had peaks and valleys. It kind of little scenes pop up, and I mean, this is probably something that happens everywhere, but you know, like things kind of pop up and then they fizzle out and people move and bands come and go and you just kind of try to keep building up whatever scene you can to support other artists and keep creating.
Absolutely. You've also moved now to LA, correct?
Yeah, I'm a little more floaty than that. I don't really live anywhere right now, but
Makes sense.
yeah. But for the last 5 years or so, I've been living in Southern California.
What inspired the move?
Sort of the pandemic. At the beginning of that, my bass player Spur and I moved down to Southern California, and we lived in trailers in the mountains, and then someone gave me a sailboat, so I actually returned back to Washington, and then sailed a sailboat back down to Southern California, where we were then located. And sort of in that interim time is when I finished tracking vocals and mixing the record.
Wonderful. I knew that you had an affinity for water, but I didn't know that it extended to that.
Yeah.
So I read, I guess, on the North Carolina Nardwuar aspect of things, I read that you were the recipient of the Crybaby Studios musician grant.
That's correct, and that's sort of how the initial tracking of this record came and started to formulate. And so that began January 1st of 2020, and I had control of the studio by myself for 3 months, and I was really just like in a basement studio working on creating this and getting it out into the world. It had become fully formulated in my head and was ready to be birthed, and so I was really just like zoned out down there and barely had any recognition that the world was completely falling apart on the outside.
I was about to say that is a very unfortunate time to be given the grant.
Yeah, it was a little strange, and it got cut short, and I wasn't able to finish tracking the vocals until later in the year. But yeah, it went from sort of already being isolated to being isolated in a different way. So I don't know. Yeah.
That makes sense. How do you think that again, at risk of being gauche, how do you think the pandemic influenced the final product of the album?
I'm not really sure because it was all fully formulated before that. So I mean, other than the delay of it and sort of how the release of it happened and having setbacks in wanting to initially do a tour right when the album came out in 2021, then that being completely canceled due to Delta variant. So now here we are in 2024, finally giving this record its proper due and its proper cycle and getting to go perform it in front of people.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of this current tour that you're on, how did this tour come to be?
Well, I think Scott and I were sitting in the tour van earlier this year, talking somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and he proposed booking a tour for me, and this is how it was formulated.
It's always wonderful to see the fruits of so many years finally coming together.
Definitely. Couldn't do it without my band.
Wonderful. So, again, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our next song, a personal favorite of mine from the record, Nervous Sister.
The bells ring, the wind screams, on a hill matches flickering. You are my nervous sister. The birds sing, my mind screams. Will I ever get to sleep? You are my nervous sister. On two, trois, walking up a hill, and the animals, they are all sleeping, burning matches on a hill in Oviedo. It is you, my friend, it is you yourself, who are sticky. Mother sure look after me through this green cloud jelly feeling. The jigsaw street, winding endlessly. In the distance, cathedral bells ring. You are my nervous sister. You are my nervous sister.
That last song was Nervous Sister, and if you're just now joining us, hi, I'm DJ Crush with Fiona Moonchild, and you're listening to The Witching Hour. So, As we're starting to wrap things up, I have a fun little segment for us.
Sure.
I'm going to be doing some rapid fire questions. So we have
Finger
10
guns.
questions. We have 10 questions lined up.
All right.
I want you to answer them as quickly as you can.
Okay.
And I suppose as briefly as you can.
Wow.
So, are you ready?
Beautiful.
Starting off, what is the worst color?
No. Wrong.
Would you rather fight 2 pigeons or 1 cockroach?
1 cockroach.
If you had the power to renew any canceled series, what would it be?
Oh. Wait. That's complicated. Not renew a canceled one, but I would like them to redo the ending of Lost.
Good choice. Would you rather go to a bar that only serves room temperature drinks or only plays Nickelback?
Only plays Nickelback.
Good choice. What is your favorite word?
No bad words. Or, I mean, there's some bad words, but what's my favorite one? I don't know.
Would you rather have a mullet for a year or be bald for 6 months?
I've had a mullet for most of my life.
Perfect. How do you think Bluetooth works?
Magnets, how do they work?
What is your dream collaboration?
There are too many to list.
Favorite season?
Summer. Late summer, sort of right now, like how it's, you feel fall percolating, but it's still sticky. But I'd rather be hot and insane than cold and grumpy.
Ideal place to move if you had infinite resources?
I do not know where I belong in this world.
Extremely valid answers all across the board. Thank you so very much
Yeah,
for
you're
being
welcome.
rapid with them. So, as we are going to start closing things out, is there anything else that you would like to tell us?
Well, I'm on tour across the U.S. with my band in support of my album called Sweets of Reason. You can find me on Instagram at Fiona Moonchild, also on Bandcamp under Fiona Moonchild.
Wonderful. As the bell tolls, dear listeners, the witching hour draws to a close. But don't worry, if you want to hear more from us, you can find interviews like this on wknc.org/podcast under Off the Record. I'm going to leave you all with one final song, so here is Psychic Cloud by Fiona Moonchild. As always, if I don't see you again, sleep tight.
A psychic cloud looms gray and cold. The rain will fall and seep below. A sycamore and static drone. Up from the soil, dysphoria grows. So high, so high, and afloat toward home. So low, so low, and I crawl back home as thunder rolls. A sap like blood, it's gonna flow from branches broken in a storm. The roots are dead, no longer hold. Cut it out and light will glow. So high, so high, and I float toward home. So low, and I crawl back home as thunder rolls. To control or nothing at all. Does it feel like home or nothing at all? So high, and I float toward home. So low, and I crawl back home as the